All right, back again. Here I'm gonna try to changing up the format a little bit. This is my recap video for week 5. I'm gonna try to cover where I was right in terms of my targets and avoids, and then where I went wrong and the big surprises for the week. Um, Hopefully that way I can try to keep it a little shorter and avoid recapping games I don't have as much to say about. So to start things off, kind of the biggest game of the week where I felt like I had a good read or ended up being right about something is the Dolphins and 49ers. So 49ers were 8-point favorites in this game. Fluctuate a little bit throughout the week. And then the Dolphins and Fitzpatrick went out there and crushed them. Ended up winning, upsetting them 43-17. I think this was just a game of 49ers kind of injuries catching up with them. They tried to bring Jimmy Garoppolo back from injury, and then he didn't have a particularly good outing. They ended up benching him. I don't know if they're going to try to get him healthy and then bring him back again, or if his play just isn't. I mean, his play is kind of always won in spite of him. I always felt, and not so much. Not so much that Jimmy was a great quarterback, but I guess we'll see. We'll have to see how the season plays out for him, and if he just wasn't healthy, or if he truly was just not making good decisions and not a particularly great quarterback. We'll see. And then the Dolphins, on the other hand, again, people were sleeping on them. They had faced a pretty tough schedule. Their defense is better than people are giving them credit for. And, of course, their offense with Ryan Fitzpatrick and quite a few different weapons is able to score points once in a while. So kind of cool to see that. Not a game I watched front to back by any means. Another game I was right about in the end, but it didn't quite play out the way I expected, was Eagles and Steelers. So the Steelers were able to pull away at the end, and the final score was 29-38. So Eagles were able to cover the 7 points. They were 7-point favorites going into this one. And, I mean, they're a better team. It's not a surprise. But, man, the Eagles put up definitely more of a fight than I was expecting. I don't know what was going on with the Steelers defense, but it seemed like they were able to bring pressure and make things tough for the Eagles, but the Eagles were still able to move the ball and score points with some kind of no-name wide receivers and, Miles Sanders being able to score some touchdowns. So that was interesting. The main reason I'm even talking about this is because Chase Claypool had a heck of a game. I know it's easy to kind of get ahead of yourself. He ended up having 3 receiving touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Really cool to see, all that increased usage from him. He is a beast if you watch him play. And so far, every time he touches the ball, really impressive to see how athletic and skilled he is. Hopefully that keeps up. Hopefully this wasn't just a boom week and he disappears, because I actually have to credit myself a little bit. I picked him up in a fantasy league where I needed some dire help and started him. So was one of the few who benefited from that near 40-point week he was able to put up. So really cool to see Chase Claypool, the rookie out of Notre Dame, be able to do some stuff. And then last up, I'm counting this as a game I've was definitely onto something about. I recommended the Chargers, plus 7.5 versus New Orleans. The game is just coming out of halftime right now. Current score is 20-13 in favor of the Chargers. So obviously the Saints could still come back and win and cover that 7.5, but just by the way the Chargers have played so far and what I've seen just watching the first half, I was definitely onto something. Hopefully I didn't jinx it there, but Chargers are definitely Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they're doing something right. They're looking like a pretty good team and going to be competitive this year. So then, as far as other games, I was sort of right about. These next 3 games were games I was saying just avoid the matchup. Didn't really feel good about one way or the other. And obviously, you could say, well, then shouldn't you just recommend the cover or whatever? But I think you'd have to be. I guess it'll make more sense as a jump into them. So the first one was Raiders at Chiefs. So I think rewinding a week, I don't think anyone expected the Raiders to be able to win this game. I was very hesitant to try to take the Chiefs. With they were minus 13-point favorites. Well, not only did the Raiders cover that, they ended up upsetting the Chiefs in pretty unexpected fashion. 40-32, kind of exposed that Chiefs defense, who had been playing really well the past 2 weeks, but for one reason or another, I was just having a hard time believing that the Chiefs defense was as ferocious as they had shown in the field. And they were kind of exposed this week. The Raiders were able to upset them. So, I mean, you could have taken the Raiders to cover or taken the Raiders' money line. I think that would have been a pretty bold strategy, but I was right about something when I said don't take the Chiefs, kind of stay away from this game, something's up. On a somewhat different note, Cowboys and Giants. This is another game. Cowboys came into this one favored like minus 9.5, and the Giants had looked terrible, had scored like 17 points, like 9 points, 9 points, had just been terrible. But then even, early in that game, the Giants were leading, really gave the Dallas Cowboys kind of a run for their money, especially early on, and the Giants ended up covering. They scored 34 points, final score 37-34 in favor of the Cowboys. And, I mean, whether or not Dak Prescott goes down with that injury, I know the Giants were kind of competitive in that game. Was glad that was not a game where I had to, bite my nails and cheer for the Cowboys to figure out some points. And if you, had the balls to try to take the Giants to cover, I mean, good for you. I wasn't willing to go there. So glad I avoided that matchup. Sorry to see Dak go down. I somehow was watching the game right when that happened. It's like the only part of the game I caught. So yeah, never good to see someone's ankle point in the wrong direction. And the last kind of avoid game I was right about, or felt kind of validated by, was the Seahawks and Vikings game. So this was at Seahawks. Seahawks were minus 7-point favorites and ended up driving down the field 96 yards, converting 2 fourth downs and scoring a touchdown to win on the final play of the game, or not in the final play of the game, but in dramatic fashion. I think that before that happened, the Vikings, I think, had like a 97-98% chance of victory, whether they kicked a field goal or went for it on fourth to try to seal the game. Kind of over talking about whether they should have kicked the field goal to go up by 8 or try to convert the fourth down. This is a Sunday night game. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw it. It's just tough to be a Vikings fan. I don't want to talk about it. And then moving on to where I went wrong or different surprises that happened throughout the week. The first one, it wasn't too surprising, I guess, but Bengals at Ravens. This one finished up 3-27. I had kind of given the Bengals plus 13 a soft recommendation, a tier 2 recommendation. Kind of just wanted to throw my money behind Joe Burrow another time, and thought that at least in garbage time they'd be able to just throw the ball constantly and be able to kind of put up some points even on a tough Ravens defense, but they weren't competitive at all. The Ravens just thoroughly crushed them, outscored them by 24 points, only gave up 3 points to the Bengals. Kind of can expect that one, but I guess I thought the Bengals would be able to do a little bit more with some of the positive signs we'd seen from them the week prior. Another game, Jaguars at Texans. So the Texans were minus 6-point favorites in this one. I liked the Jags to cover, the 6 points or even win outright. I just thought these were pretty comparable teams, but the Texans, I guess, got a kind of a spark with the firing of Bill O'Brien. I don't know, not a game I watched, just from kind of scrolling through the play-by-play. It looked like the Jaguars-Texans was pretty competitive through 3 quarters, and then the Texans were able to pull away at the end with some deep, maybe not necessarily deep, but some heroics from Deshaun Watson. Brandon Cooks really exploded in this game, so as someone I was kind of forced to play in fantasy this week in a league where I was in a tough spot, I was happily rewarded by that, even though he greatly contributed to a few losses prior to that. Whatever. I guess I was surprised to see the Texans, put up as many points as they did and pull away from the Jaguars. I don't know, I guess, what to expect from them going forward with the loss of Bill O'Brien. If that changes the team dramatically and they'll be able to kind of make a run here, I don't know. I'd have to take a look at their schedule. I know things have obviously can't get harder than they were through the first 4 games. So I guess we'll just kind of have to take it as they go. Might be a tougher team to predict. Meanwhile, the Jaguars maybe are becoming an easier team to predict. We'll see how the spreads adjust, but they are definitely shaping up to the bad team everyone expected them to be. Another game was kind of surprising to me was Panthers at Falcons. The Panthers were plus 2.5 point favorites, pretty even spread there, and I don't know. I was avoiding this game, but I was expecting the Falcons offense to kind of get back on track, which is the main reason I was avoiding this game. But man, Matt Rule is onto something. I mean, they're able to score points. They've been effective in the kind of short passing, running game, getting the backs involved in the passing game as well. Even without Christian McCaffrey, they've had Mike Davis fill in, and at least fantasy-wise, he's been putting up statistics. So that's been a big surprise for me. They've been getting good play out of Teddy Bridgewater as well, and Robbie Anderson, who was branded as a deep threat coming out of the Jets, who I always liked watching play and was disappointed. I was disappointed when he went to Carolina because I'm like, oh, they won't be able to use him if he's a deep ball receiver. Well, they decided he's not a deep ball receiver, and they're using him however which way they feel, and he's really been producing and thriving in that offense, which is cool to see because he's one of the players I really liked in this league, despite some of his off the field shenanigans. And on the other side, the Falcons, man, I was expecting them to bounce back a little bit. I suppose it was about time. They end up doing little to nothing, especially if you started Matt Ryan in fantasy. I had a few friends who were pretty sour about that. But yeah, I mean, Dan Quinn is out the door now, and they also fired the GM. So not too surprising. I was kind of expecting that to happen at the end of last year, and I said that before, that Dan Quinn was kind of a lame duck coach, dead man walking. But for whatever reason, they decided to wait until this year, give him one more shot, and things didn't go that way. So I guess we'll have to see going forward. I think they play the Vikings next week. I kind of expect them to continue to be bad, but who knows? Maybe the switching it up at head coach will give them a little life, kind of like the Texans got. Last game, I was kind of wrong about. Another frustrating game I barely want to talk about was Buccaneers at Bears. This was Thursday Night Football. And man, if you watch this game, it was just terrible to watch. Incredibly frustrating. I mean, from what I saw, Tampa Bay was definitely the better team and just got destroyed by penalties. Just every play there was a penalty. Multiple scoring drives. They end up, pushing themselves out of touchdown range or even field goal range with just constant penalties, holding penalties, just bad penalties. And I don't know. I think a lot of it was just the refs getting way too involved in that game. And meanwhile, the Bears somehow managed to win in terribly ugly, sloppy fashion. There's no way you could watch that game and come away thinking, yeah, the Bears are everything that their record shows. Man, they're actually a good scrappy football team. No, they're not a good team. Somehow they were able to do enough to win this one, but man, they looked awful doing it, and I'm going to continue to fade them going forward. And maybe, who knows, maybe they'll keep burning me for it, but gosh, that was a frustrating game. Still kind of feel like I was right and that the Buccaneers were a better team, but, the scoreboard doesn't reflect that, so maybe I'm just stubborn and won't let it go. So that was those are the main games I wanted to cover. The last thing is, I guess we'll see how this Chargers New Orleans game shakes out. At least at my book, the Bills at Titans is on the board and is set to play tomorrow or tonight if you're watching this on Tuesday, day of upload. So right now my book has it at Bills minus 3.5. So it's Bills at Texans. The Titans have been a pretty bad team so far. They've won all their games by 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. I've really kind of struggled to scrap it out against much worse team than the Bills. Meanwhile, the Bills have been really hot. So, I mean, there's the off chance that the Titans were able to figure something out on defense with this extra time off and come back pretty strong and with a healthy A.J. Brown, and are able to put up a fight and look like a rejuvenated, better team, coming out of this unexpected lengthy bye. But I like the other side of it. I think the testing and NFL investigation and potential fines and suspensions centered around the Titans are going to serve as a distraction. And Mike Vrabel's a good coach, so maybe I'm sleeping on his ability to kind of keep the team focused. But I don't know. The Bills have just been playing so well. I like them to cover the 3.5, just as a better team outright, and a team that's got a lot of momentum and is pretty hot right now. So I would recommend Bills minus 3.5, and maybe it can kind of save that weekend. I'm a little down from this weekend, but who knows? We still got a couple more games to play. So that's about all I got. Check out my Twitter at favorite fade on Twitter. And that's all I got.